Breaking news. Trump has ordered the U.S. Attorney General to create a task force to unite our country again as one nation under God. February 7, 2025. USA seems to be forming the image of the beast. Will there come a time that preaching the three angels' message would be a crime? Time will come that the government will silence those who will not comply to a mandatory way of worship. Welcome, dear friends, to TIBP Live. Here is a quick prophecy update. WashingtonStand.com says, Trump creates federal task to eradicate anti-Christian bias. The news says, following through another campaign promise, President Donald Trump is forming a task force to combat anti-Christian bias in the federal government. Trump announced the task force's creation at the National Prayer Breakfast last Thursday. I quote, from the earliest days of our republic, faith in God has always been the ultimate source of the strength that beats in the heart of our nation, the president declared, noting that America is and will always be one nation under God. He continued, we have to bring religion back. We have to bring it back much stronger. It is one of the biggest problems that we've had over the last fairly long period of time. We have to bring it back. End quote. Further, he says, today, we must protect the fundamental freedom with absolute devotion. We must stand strong, just like generations of Americans have done on the battlefields all around the world. Trump continued to that end. He declared that he would order the forming of a federal task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias and all forms of anti-Christians targeting and discrimination within the federal government. The task force will be headed by U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
The mission of this task force will be to immediately halt all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within the federal government, including at the DOJ, which was absolutely terrible, the IRS, the FBI, terrible, and other agencies. In addition, the task force will work to fully prosecute anti-Christian violence and vandalism in our society and to move heaven and earth to defend the rights of Christians.
The Office of the Attorney General of the United States, the chief law enforcement agency of the nation, has been given the task to bring our nation back to God. Those were President Trump's own words. With this new order to target anti-Christian bias, Trump is fulfilling his promises to evangelicals and Catholics by taking decisive action to restore Christianity's influence in America. As part of his commitment, he has established a religious task force dedicated to protecting the rights of Christians in schools, workplace, hospitals, government office, and all public spaces.
Brand new to eradicate anti-Christian bias. About time, right? Anti-Christian bias.
February 6, 2025. President Donald Trump says he's ordering Attorney General Bondi to form this task to eradicate anti-Christian bias within the United States and prosecute instances of anti-Christian violence and vandalism. Furthermore, in depth, Trump said that the force will be ordered to immediately halt all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within federal government, including the Department of Justice, the IRS, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI). In addition, the task force will work to fully prosecute anti-Christian violence and vandalism in our society and to move heaven and earth to defend the rights of Christians and religious believers worldwide. Dear friends, there has been a push by evangelicals to bring Christianity back into American public life through political activism, legal efforts, and cultural influence. This work will now be carried out by Presidential Executive Order and the U.S. Attorney General's Office. The fight to ensure that Christianity is represented in government, education, the military, and public places has just received full support of the U.S. federal government. Through these efforts, evangelicals aim to restore Christianity as a central influence in American culture and governance. The evangelical movement's effort to restore Christianity in America go far beyond reintroducing prayer, Bibles, and the Ten Commandments into public schools. These are just the first steps in a broader transformation aimed at reviving Christian values in every aspect of society through legislative measures, workplace policies, and community initiatives. Subtle yet powerful changes will take place, gradually leading, here it is, dear friends, to the restoration of Sunday as a sacred day of rest and worship. Will Sunday law take its first step for 2025? We just have to watch and pray. As Christian influence grows for Sunday laws will also increase as work schedules will be forced to reflect traditional Sunday observance, and public life will increasingly align with apostate Protestant principle. By shaping laws, evangelicals are committed to reestablishing faith as the moral foundation of the nation, ensuring that their vision of Christianity remains at the heart of American identity. February 6, 2025, President Donald Trump participated in 2 prayer breakfasts. The first was celebrated at the Washington Hilton Hotel with Paula White, leader of his White House Faith Office. This is Paula White.
It's Christ's body in which he speaks and acts and by which he fills everything, including the White House, including the White House, including the White House, including government halls, including universities, including education centers, including the best medical labs, including the biggest businesses. How does he do that? He does that through you. He does that through me. Wherever I go, God rules. When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds.
Rekeya mandara boko sokota, ronda ya kande eke seke la mama mandara bakase, metara bakande la babakaso, ya la manani anano, sakayato ya kande, ya amakato ya batadia city akano ya katara city. Power!
Paula White is a supporter and preacher of NAR. Different religious leaders from around the country attend this event, and it was on this occasion that President Trump announced that the U.S. Attorney General's office would work to make our country one nation under God again.
We have to bring religion back. We have to bring it back much stronger. It's one of the biggest problems that we've had over the last fairly long period of time. I really believe you can't be happy without religion, without that belief. I really believe it. I just don't see how you can be. So let's bring religion back. Let's bring God back into our lives.
The second prayer breakfast took place at the U.S. Capitol with members of Congress from both parties. President Trump announced to them that it was time to take religion back and make it much stronger. Additionally, Trump asserted that God has a special plan for the United States and that it will come to pass sooner than later. What is that plan, dear friends? What is the way of God? The way of God is in the sanctuary. Psalm 77 verse 13. The way of God, the plan of God, God's GPS, gospel plan of salvation is found none other than in the sanctuary. It is where Jesus is right this very second. President Trump closed his remarks by urging members of Congress to make religion a much more important factor for this nation. The Spirit of Prophecy extensively wrote about the role of the United States in Bible prophecy, particularly in relation to church-state union and the enforcement of religious observances. The Spirit of Prophecy says these events as key signs of the final crisis before Jesus returns. Last Day Event says, when Protestants, churches shall unite with the secular power to sustain a false religion, for opposing which their ancestors endured the fiercest persecution, then will the papal Sabbath be enforced by the combined authority of church and state. There will be a national apostasy which will end only in national ruin. Dearest friends, let us all together be sober and vigilant, because the devil is like a roaring lion seeking for people who will forsake the commandments of God. Are you fully surrendered to God? Is Christ your righteousness in life? Signs of the times are here. Who will take a stand? Are you on the Lord's side? Will you choose Jesus over the convenience and triumphant to the trials of life? Here is our decision today. Kindly type in the comment section, I choose the Word of God. Our reply to this prophecy update, I choose the Word of God. Thank you, dear friends, for listening to this prophecy update. Kindly like and share and continue to preach truth found in Bible prophecy.